The duck doesn't need a tiny vest, but what will his friends say? We have a lot of mechanical hard drives that we aren't doing anything with. We went through a period where we were upgrading clients' workstations from mechanical hard drives to SSDs like a Yukon Gold Rush. So what are we going to do with all these hard drives that aren't useful in a desktop? We're going to put them in a TrueNAS file server, stripe the tar out of them, and file transfer drag race them. Okay, so we've got an old i5 motherboard, we've got some RAM. We're gonna put in this, I think we've got 8 gigs here, a couple sticks of 4. I've separated out all of the 1 terabyte drives, so our RAID array will all be the same drive. So this motherboard has 6 SATA connectors. That's not enough. We picked up these guys. PCIe one-time 6-port SATA controllers. So we got 2 of those. Okay, so now we've got 6, 12, we've got 18 drives that we can put together here. We got 14 drives that we're going to connect up if we've got enough power. 1, 2. So when we hook this all together, we're gonna hook it together in RAID 0. So we're gonna stripe with no redundancy. What of course this means is, if any single drive were to fail, we would lose the entire data set and would not be able to read any of the files, regardless of where they were stored. Which of course is why this is not an acceptable storage solution when you're trying to store important files. And we brought out a trusty old box of power supplies, because that's a normal thing that people have lying around. So we're not going to be able to power all these drives with one. I mean, if we had a modern power supply, we'd be able to power all these with one power supply, but we're doing this the janky way. And I don't think an old Dell 240 watt has quite the jam to power all of these hard drives. So it'll be a Franken build. Aha! Okay. Don't like my keyboard. Can't even get TrueNAS installed on a drive. Why would it not be letting us go past the BIOS screen here? Oh. TrueNAS has failed. Why? Why did it fail? Has failed. Ugh. So it's the next day, and like many of these projects, when you're working with old scrapyard commodity hardware, you have to swap stuff out, you have to keep monkeying around till it finally works. We swapped out our motherboard, we swapped out our system drives. We're now installing TrueNAS directly to a USB key, which is how it was originally designed. Often in production environments, you're going to want to install it to an SSD or something more reliable, have it redundantly backed up, but we're up and running. We've got drives all rolling through here. We've got our jumpered power supplies. We've booted up into TrueNAS now. And we've got a ton of errors about these drives because, of course, half of them were replaced because they were failing already. But we're going to see what we can do with that. We've got alerts like crazy. And we're going to add everything. It looks like one of our drives is proper borked and not responding at all. So we're going to remove that from the equation. Okay. Not RAID Z3. We're going to stripe these. Seems like a terrible idea. pool is online. We're going to create our target pool, Targer, and we're going to use our SSD to create that pool. All right, we've got our target pool, our big honkin' stripe pool, drag race 10 terabytes, and our target 213 gigabytes. Okay, so now we just got to set up and find out how fast those mechanical drives can spin and how fast we can get data from them over to an SSD or vice versa. We're going to figure out which direction we're going to go. All right, so to recap our journey, we've got a bunch of commodity hardware, a bunch of scrapped hard drives. They're all rated together in a monster stripe. We've created a share on the big stripe and dumped a 12 gig video file onto it, and we're going to, through the command line, copy it to our SSD. Now SSDs cap out at about 550 megabytes per second for the really good ones. We've got a crappy one, so we'll see that might be a limiting factor for us here. But we want to see how fast we can get the mechanical drives copying over. So we're going to do PV, mount, drag race, that sucker over to our target. MOV. Okay, and presto. Okay, so we've got 230. It looks like we went just a little bit faster than that originally, but 230 megabytes per second we're copying that thing over. That's not too shabby. We're definitely moving faster than a single mechanical hard drive can copy, and we're done. Okay, so averaging out there 235 megabytes per second, so twice as fast as a mechanical is supposed to top out at. Can't get them up to SSD speeds, but we're also not going to fine-tune this thing and actually look into all of the configuration settings and trying to get every little piece of speed out of here. This was mostly just to see if, one, how many of these hard drives are actually still capable of running in a system, I guess. But there you have it. Commodity hardware, commodity add-in cards, a bunch of scrapyard drives. You can get some pretty decent performance, but it's still not going to be as fast as enterprise solid state. That's ridiculous. That's what this is. Is it bad that this is actually starting to seem very, very normal to me? What do we got in here? Woo. Yeah. Ah? So I gotta talk now. Okay.